Hi, Professor Lewis. My name is Zachary Crane, and I'm going to give a speech here in just a minute on the Australian Football League. Um, just wanted to pretext I don't have an audience tonight. I can get one tomorrow. In a unique circumstance, I had two or three plans kind of in my mind and lined up, and one fell through, and another fell through, and the third option just totally didn't work out as expected, and so now I'm a bit stagnant tonight, and I need to do this now, not later tonight, and I should explain why. Um, it's getting close to sunset here, and I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and this is not me trying to use my faith. If you need to dock points for me not having an audience, that's okay. I can do it tomorrow night and get an audience, but Sabbath to me is a very important thing, and I don't do homework on it, and so, uh, you know, as best as I can, any lack of preparation is definitely on my behalf. But if you'd like an audience in the future, I can definitely do that tomorrow night, and make it up to you. I just wanted to turn this in tonight so that I'm not late. So I guess the main audience tonight will be you, and we'll try this. I'm just going to finish setting up myself over here. Okay. So let me just pull up my thing here, and then I'll hit my timer, and I'll start it, and we'll go from there. So. Oh, thank you again for getting back to me today on the emails. That helped a lot, and that was clear. I tried to write a decent outline based off those examples, so I really appreciate that too. Cancel that. Okay. Feels kind of surreal right now. Okay, let's see. Set it all up. Good evening. Tonight I'm here to talk to you about the Australian Football League, or the sport of footy. Now, any sports fan or any non-sports fan has probably seen the typical motions in a sport. You've probably seen the dunk in basketball. You've probably seen a good catch in football. You've probably seen a good kick in soccer. What I don't think you've seen is probably somebody jump on top of somebody else's shoulders, off them, vertically in the air, and catch a ball. This is not common in the American Football League, mainly because I believe it's illegal, but it is very common in the Australian Football League, in the sport known as footy. So tonight I'm going to describe it a bit. My goal today is to spark your interest in the sport. I want to show you what this culture is, and how this is and why this is the most highly attended spectator sport in Australia, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. In this informative speech, I will explain the basic origins of gameplay of footy and tell you why I love the experience. So, to dive right into it, let's go into the origins. The origins of Australian football are unique and perhaps may even predate American football, according to some famous Australian historians like Geoffrey Blaney. But one thing is for certain, and that is that its main beginning was in the 1850s. And the foundations for that, I'm sure you're curious as to what they are. Well, the Encyclopedia Britannica provides a good summary of the origins of this sport, and I'll paraphrase a little bit of what they say. You see, as I said, it began in the 1850s with a guy named Wentworth Wills. He was a cricket captain and a football player, and he wanted to find a way so that his guys could still be in training in the off-season. And so he met with an organization and teamed up to create a football with rules in a way. After a few years, people began to grow interest in the sport, and by 1858 and 1859, you had two teams, and a few years later added some more. They began to make adjustments to the rules. It's not like American football, a little bit simpler on that front, but they cut off the things that were causing trouble, things like tripping and hitting from behind and the illegal things, and they cleaned it up, and it grew from there and has grown ever since to become a very popular sport in Australia. In fact, Bob Stewart, Sports Management Review, said by a range of measures including revenue, broadcast fees, game attendance, TV ratings, and the like, AFL has also been Australia's most successful sports league. And that includes being above rugby or cricket, the two other main sports in Australia, the three being rugby, cricket, and AFL. Okay, so that's enough about the origins and the success. How is it played? Well, I pulled a questionnaire to a couple Australian friends or asked their opinions, and I got a lot of unique and witty responses, typical of the Australian culture. But I had one friend give me a very blunt answer, and I wrote it down, and I want to quote him. His name is Luke Ferry, and he had this to say. Players chase an oval ball around a field where they try and kick through some sticks to score a goal, which is 6 points, or get 1 point through the miss, the side goals. They kick it or hand pass the ball, but lose it if they are tackled and still have the ball, and the team with the highest score at the end wins. That was his whole description, and I found it pretty fitting. I'm going to use Ross Booth from his article because he defines it a little bit more clearly, saying there are 18 players, a round oval ball, and it's a round oval field. A match is played over 4 quarters, 20 minutes each, and again a goal is scored. A main goal is scored through 6 points through kicking through the main 2 bars, and I thought I'd show you what that means. So it's an oval field right there. It's the best oval I can draw, and then you have 2 inner posts and 2 outer posts. 6 points scored if you kick it through here, and then if you kick it through here, or run it through, that's 1 point. Very simple. He continues. He says, players are allowed to tackle each other between the shoulder and the knee, to run whilst bouncing the ball, or to catch and mark the ball, the mark being a very important system of footy. Basically, there's no offsides in this sport like soccer or like football, and you can advance, and just your goal is to advance the ball to get it closest to here. One of the ways you do that is by kicking, and if your team catches it on the other side, then they get what's called a marker, a free kick towards the goal. If the opposing team catches it, well, then they go the other way. And in between all of this is chaos, tackling, jumping off each other, running around, your players blocking for you. And it's an amazing combination of sports with the endurance in the field of soccer, with the play of football, and it's a fantastic sport that I hope everyone can see. So, while that's a little bit about the origins and a little bit about the gameplay, lastly I want to share with you why I enjoy it, and I have just a minute to do this. I was in Australia with my family a couple years ago. We were touring the country, and somebody said to go see an AFL match. So we bought tickets and sat on the away team sides. They separate the away and the home teams so that you have 2 massive sides of the stadium rooting for the sport, and it is incredible to watch. I cannot even explain it. It requires incredible endurance, incredible skill. Every player has to be able to kick the ball, to punt the ball with their hands but not throw it, to catch the ball, and to run and to dodge people, and it is just so much intensity and so much wonder that I've always wondered why we haven't brought that more over into the U.S. Well, that's the basic gist of the Australian Football League and the Australian football sport. It's called footy over there, and so I encourage anybody, if you're ever there, to do what the locals tell you to do. They say grab a meat pie and a beer, the typical food there, enjoy the cheering fans and the intense action all the way through, and make this sport worth looking into. Again, don't take my word for it, but look into it yourself and check out the Australian Football League, or footy. Thank you. Okay, I'm at 6 minutes, 12 seconds, and half of a second, I guess. So that's worse. That's the worst I've done it, I guess. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for your time and for listening. If I need to redo it tomorrow, I'd be happy to do that. I'm going to try and write up the citations. I'm having some trouble with the quotation from my friend, or from a local Australian, and then that stuff. So any guidance in that for future referencing would be really helpful. Thank you so much, and have a good night.